For
Okay. All right.
especially to pipeline, oil and gas construction.
Okay, oil and gas construction pipeline. That's where you've worked.
Yeah, for years, for decades.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I know you want to break into agile roles, right? As a project manager, are you looking at being a project coordinator? How many years of experience do you have as a project manager currently?
Currently, I have more than 10 years. I have more than 10 years. But when you talk of break, I don't mind. I believe you have to start gradually. When you start gradually from there, you scale up. I will not mind if just to start as Agile project coordinator. Is there anything like that?
So why I'm asking, right, is because I really want to get into your psychic. Now you have over 10 years of experience as a traditional waterfall project manager because, that's where vast of your experience has been. Yes. However, it's also important to know that when you're breaking into a new phase, it is you should start for me, the most important thing is getting your foot in the door, so it doesn't matter if it's like a junior position, right? Maybe an agile project manager junior position. For me, I think what will count for you is get yourself in that space, and then you bring your 10 years expertise, right? And then you can build from there, because that's literally my story. So when I started out as a project manager, I literally transitioned, from being a senior business analyst, and I said, I wanted to go into project management. Now, one thing that the market made me realize is for people who are trying to break into a particular sector, regardless of be it project management, business analysis, or whatever, the most important thing is getting their foot at the door. So a lot of people get stuck with, I want a defined position, right? For example, now someone like you might say, I already have 10 years. Why do I need to come in as a junior agile project manager, right? So that was why I asked. And I'm very happy to hear you say, the most important thing right now is to get your foot in the door, right? Work in that environment, and then you can, obviously build from there. It's also important to add that having this mindset will open you up to a lot of other job roles and other job positions, if you get what I mean. So, yes. So I'm glad we are both aligned, on that. Okay, so regarding this agile, project management phase that you want to move to, have you applied for any job at all on your own, or you're doing this program first? Have you done any search?
Okay. Do the program.
Okay, so you're doing sorry, go ahead.
I've not applied for any job.
You've not applied for any job, so you're doing the project, this program first to give you like an insight and overview.
Yeah, because my CV will be rerouted into Agile.
Perfect. Okay. All right. That's fine. Okay. All right. So I think we already established the ground rules. So from what I have and from what I've heard you say, you're very flexible when it comes to like starting out in the agile project management phase, which is fantastic. You already have vast experience, regardless of whether it's in the phase you want. I know you said it's in waterfall, but literally, that also comes in handy for you. And the fact that you're willing to just get your foot in the door, I think we're on the right path. So now let's go to the CV part, because I know that's why we are here, and I don't want to give you any fluff. I just want to go straight to the point. So what makes a high impact CV, right? I remember when I was, job hunting, and I applied to about 10, earlier on in my career, I think that was like in 2018, I applied to like 10, 15 different organizations, and I was getting the, we regret to inform or regret to announce, the love letter they send, right? And in that time space, I was blessed enough to get a POIS graduate employability scholarship. And one of the things the facilitators taught us was like, you cannot use one CV to apply for 5 jobs, right? So right there and then, I knew that for every CV that I would be sending out for each job, I had to tailor that CV, right, to that particular role. You get what I mean? So when I started doing that, I started experiencing, I started seeing, getting positive feedback. So I'm going to just, brief you about, the difference between an average CV and a strong CV. I would have loved it if they sent me a copy of your CV before this, but we can do that, maybe after this session.
To be honest with you,
Yes.
if I tell you I don't have a CV now, you will not believe me.
Oh, you don't have a CV, Mr. Tony?
Yeah, because I have not actually
applied.
I have not actually looked for work. I have been working. I was just getting those certifications because of my I was trying to be futuristic.
Okay.
I've never looked for work for the past 20-30 years.
Okay, I get you. Okay. All right.
But I think the CV I have should be for the job I have been doing before.
Okay, it will be for the one. Yeah, even that too. I would like to see it. You know why? Just to have like a brief of an overview. But that's fine. That's
no
not a deal breaker for us.
Problem.
Yeah, that's not a deal breaker.
I wish I have your email or anyhow.
Yeah, I would. Okay. You can get that from from the person facilitating this session, right? So they'll send it to me. Okay. So when I get your CV, it will give me again, like I said, an insight. But let me tell you the difference between an average CV and a strong CV. So, and I'll use myself as an example, right? So, an average CV would read, especially. Okay, so I've worked in like 3 places, give and take, right? And if I'm writing it in my CV about the things that I've done, an average CV would sound something like, I manage project activities. I coordinated project meetings. I worked with stakeholders, right? So there is no, it doesn't have the details that the recruiters are looking for. Not that a recruiter would look at your CV probably less than 2 minutes and then they keep it moving. Why? Because, of course, sometimes the job market is really saturated. So they really have like limited time to look through it. So when your job description or the things you did in that particular organization is very is very is very basic, then you don't do yourself justice. So please, when you're writing, because at the end of this session too, you're going to go back and try to work up a CV for me, Mr. Tony, and we're going to review it again, right? So do not say I manage project activities, I coordinated project meetings, I worked with stakeholders. Now, a strong CV would add numeric values to those things, right? So for example, you can say, oh, I managed a maybe $1.2 million digital transformation project, delivering implementation. Sorry, is this call? Can we record this call for?
I want you to record it so that we have the recording.
Yeah, is it possible? I don't know if this has.
But the guy yesterday recorded. They have a way of doing it. And
okay, saying record. So it's for me saying recording unavailable. I would have really loved for you to have this.
I think you should have asked them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have really loved for you to have this. Okay, or maybe I would share my notes with you. Mr. Tony, I tried checking you on LinkedIn. You're not on LinkedIn too, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are wrong.
Anthony. Oh, you're on LinkedIn. I used your full name and it didn't come up. Maybe
Anthony?
I used Anthony. The 3 names, your first name, your middle name.
And if you remove the middle name, I think I'm on LinkedIn. Anthony Yokele.
Okay, because I wanted to check your profile as well before this, but not a problem. I'll check it out, right? So remember, average CV will just tell you, sorry, give me a minute, please.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. So at the it would be helpful to share your notes. Yes, I'll share my notes. I already said that I'll share my notes. I'll share my notes. That's not a problem. Since we can't record this, at least that would give Mr. Anthony, a bit of something to fall back on.
To fall back to when preparing.
Exactly, when he's working on his own CV. All right. So the average CV would say, oh, I manage project, I coordinated project meetings, I worked with stakeholders. However, strong CVs kind of like gives you a bit more information in terms of numerics, in terms of, okay, so session is being recorded. Oh, fantastic. So in terms of numerics, in terms of like even the people that are available. So for example, you can say I managed a $1.2 million digital transformation project, delivering implementation 3 weeks ahead of schedule and reducing operational processing time by 35%. You see that this one here is very robust. In fact, it tells the recruiter the kind of work you do. It tells the recruiter that, oh, these things you're doing, it's actually measurable. Remember, it is smart, it is specific, right? So recruiters normally will buy outcomes. They don't buy activities. What that means is a recruiter really does not care if you coordinated 500 project meetings. What they want to know is what was the outcome of those meetings, right? Oh, so what if you manage 3,000 project activities? What came out of those 3,000 project activities, right? Also, what if you worked with 5,000 stakeholders? So what came out from your interaction with those your interaction? No, I'm not sharing my screen. This is my private notes. I'm not sharing my private notes. This is like my rough notes. Right, so that's literally how it works. So an average CV will just give you fluff, right, while a strong CV would give you more details. Now, how do recruiters actually review CVs? Mr. Tony, for someone like you who practically, you've not applied for jobs, you might not really understand the frustration that comes with getting a rejection, right? Especially when you put your heart and soul into applying for a job and then they tell you, we are sorry, or you didn't make it, or sometimes you even make it first, second, third phase, and then the final phase, they tell you, oh, we regret to inform you, right? How do recruiters view CVs? Now, the recruiters, coming from their lens, they scan pattern, right? And so your CV should have I call them the non-negotiables, right? So what that means is on your CV, there are some sections that you can't even play with. For example, your job title. Now, if you're applying for an Agile project manager role, and like you said, your experience has been, in waterfall or predictive, you have to find a way to tailor your job title to meet what what you're applying for, right? So I've applied for jobs where, I think about 2 weeks ago, I applied for a product manager role, right? However, my real role is a senior business analyst and a project manager. However, you know that there is an intersection, right? So that means I can apply for product manager role. When I was submitting my CV, when I was working on my CV, I did not put business analyst or project manager. I put product manager, right? So we do not allow there to be a mismatch. If the job you're applying for is Agile project manager, please make sure that the title on your CV carries that. The second non-negotiable I'll talk about is your professional summary, right? So professional summary is you saying, oh, right, this is who I'm about. This is who Christabel is. This is who Anthony is. Oh, Christabel is a business analyst with over 5 years of experience. She has worked across, she has worked with maybe cross-functional teams in about 6 continents. She helps businesses to improve their processes. That is a brief overview. So they want to see your professional summary, right? Then the next section that is very important is also your recent experience. Now, people always get confused. Oh, but Christabel Christabel, I'm still working in my organization and I'm looking for a job. Shouldn't I just put that I've stopped working in my organization? No, you should not do that, right? So it means that you can actively be in paid employment and you're applying for a job. Mr. Anthony, right? I don't know if you... Exactly.
I understand you.
Exactly. So
it is easier to change a job than to look for a new job.
Thank you. Right? So you put your recent experience. So right now, the senior business analyst and project manager in Total Energies, right? So when I'm applying for that my product manager role, then I can put that under my recent experience, right? Then list out my activities, the things that I'm doing. Remember, I'm not going to say, oh, as a business analyst in Total, I just manage stakeholders. Remember, I'm going to add numeric, I'm going to make it quantifiable, I'm going to even make it measurable if I can, right? Now, the next section we want to look at is the certifications. I'm so glad that you were very proactive, during your 10-year experience as a project manager. I just got my PMP certification. That was like last month, May 6th, right?
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I got mine 2017.
So exactly. Did you have you renewed it? It's 3 years, or you don't?
No, I don't miss it. I do a lot of training. Automatic. I have a lot of PDUs. Network. Hello. You are muted.
Sorry, Mr. Tony, my internet got, there was like a lag. You said okay. So you said you didn't renew your PMP?
I renew. It's automatic because I have a lot of PDUs.
Oh, you have a lot of PDUs. Fantastic.
Like now, for the 3 years time now, I'm to renew about 3 of my certification. I already have the PDU. I don't wait.
You don't wait. Perfect.
Because there was one certification I lost like that. Reliability and maintenance professional.
Okay.
Since then, I don't play with my PDU.
PDUs, yeah, very valid. All right, great. So, in your, what's it called? In your CV, you should also have, the section for your certifications. I always tell people, when you're listing your certifications, do it in a chronological order. Chronological order means your most recent to the list one that you've gotten. So if I'm going to include my certifications right now in my CV, you'd see I just did the Scrum, right? The product owner Scrum, and then you have the PMP, and then you have McKinsey. Just list them like that. The dates and what's it called? The awarding body. Then of course your key skills. Now we have AI. One thing that AI in the terms of like ChatGPT, Claude, and the others have done is they've made it easy in the sense that you can pick a job opening, right? Put it in ChatGPT and say, I want you to, and you probably include your CV and say, this is what my current CV looks like. This is the job description of this organization. I want you to point out the loopholes for me in my CV and the things that I can, update that would give me better chances. So you can also utilize AI. However, when you're utilizing AI, make sure that, AI can be wrong.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that, everything you're doing is correct. We don't lie. We don't fabricate. Like AI tools are a means to an end. They don't do the job for you. So you still take the time to go reflect, and then, it'll help you come up with something nice. So always add the key skills. So if you want to know the key skills that are required in a particular opening, you can use AI in this regard. Just copy the job description and say, this job, what skills are they really looking for? And then it gives you, It gives you, churns out like different skills that are related to that job opening. So if you do not have that already on your CV, you can always include them, right? Then lastly, your results and your achievements. This is where you brag. This is where you tell them that you're the right person without shouting so much, right? So maybe during your 10 years of experience, or as a project manager, you led a project, it was successful, people are benefiting from it, you helped your company, increase their revenue, probably helped if you're in oil and gas, like most of the projects that we do is to help, maximize is to help Total Energies maximize profit, right? And so if you do projects like that, it's always key that you list out your results and your achievement. Do you have a project management portfolio, be it in waterfall? Do you have anything like that? Do you have like a portfolio of the projects that you've done? Do you have them listed somewhere, even if it's on your LinkedIn?
No, I don't have them.
Okay. So first statement.
Excuse me, can you portfolio what can you share more light on your statement?
Okay, so let me share my screen. Let me show you my LinkedIn so that you kind of like have an idea. Just give me a minute. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna share my screen now. Let me know when you can see my screen, please. Okay. All right. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's on now.
Okay, perfect. Right. So if you scroll down, how does this work? Let me enter full screen. Where's this different stuff? I'm trying to scroll down. Actually, let me. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm doing this. Okay, perfect. I think I figured it out. Okay. All right. So I'm going to scroll down to where my projects are. Right, the list of projects that I've worked on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay. So can you see this? No,
yeah,
sorry,
okay.
That's not it. Just give me a minute. Aha, this is it. So you see projects, right? You see the number here, 3. These are the ones that I've added on LinkedIn. Yes, so you can see the Milan Detail Medics, right? Okay. That's what you're saying, Mr. Anthony. Good.
Yeah.
Right. So why this works is this can be like your mini portfolio. Remember, let me show all. So remember that most jobs now, I don't know if I said that, most jobs now would require you to include your LinkedIn URL, right? So they do that because they want to, get like more insight into the person you are, but most especially for like your profession. So they want to see what you've done. Now, if you do not have a portfolio set aside, maybe on Canva, you don't have it in a document, LinkedIn gives you that leverage to come to your profile and then create projects. So if you look at this, yes, so you can, so let me put that one, take home. So we can, I would reach out to you on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn if you are trying to navigate this, and I can walk with you through the process to help you set. Yes, Christabel Ickman, please, yes. All right. Okay, so you can see this one, right? It tells you the name of the project, right? Mm-hmm. It tells you the start date and the end date of the project, right? It tells you a brief, description of the project, the vision of the project, what we wanted done. So imagine what this would do for you, regardless. Now, let me mention that the fact that you want to switch to Agile doesn't mean your 10 years, experience in project management, you should just sweep it under the carpet. Please, right? 10 years is not something to just leave aside, so you can come here, those projects that you've worked on, put them here. If you have access to the snapshots, for example, you add the snapshot. If the people you worked on those projects with are on LinkedIn, you add them as contributors, right? So when you're when you're working on your CV and you put in your LinkedIn URL, what happens when they come on your LinkedIn profile? They actually they see that, right? They see all the projects you've worked on. So that gives you a bit of leverage. You get what I mean? So it is important that, at least you try to, even if it's just one, to put that out there. So I wanted to show you that. Okay, I think, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, perfect. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll go back to my notes. Yeah? Okay. Sorry, give me a minute. Okay, perfect. All right. So remember that the sections you should have on your CV, yes, Mr. Thony, your job title is key. Remember to always draft your job title to fit the role that you're applying for. So that means you can't be applying for Agile project manager role and then on your CV, I'm seeing that you are, what's it called? You're a marketing executive. There is no correlation. There is already a mismatch. And that person might most likely not get selected, right, to the next phase. The other section, again, is the professional summary, where you get to tell them a brief of who you are in this sector. The project, if you've managed like 8 projects, put that there. Regardless, again, I'm stressing this because I feel it's very important. Regardless of whether they were predictive projects, right, or any sort of project, those experiences, they count. So put that in your professional summary. Then at the end of your summary, you can now put, like leveraging Agile methodologies. You get what I mean? To just kind of like strengthen it. Yeah, but do not just throw those wonderful 10 years and not include it. Please include them. The third section I mentioned is your recent experience. So wherever you're working now, remember you're doing it in a chronological order from the most recent to the least. So if you're working in, say, for example, Shell, you put that right now. If before Shell, the job you worked was with Agro Alliance, you put that there, right? You put the date you started, your end date, and the things you did. Of course, you have your certifications. You're not lacking of that. You have very profound PMI or PMP certifications, put them there. Add your key skills, like the skills that you're very, that the skills that aligns with the job that you're applying for, or you're applying to. Then of course your results and achievement. So at this point, I just want to ask you, if I know you said you do not have a current CV, right? But if I were to give your CV to a recruiter for 8 seconds, what would you think they would remember?
Okay. Not that I don't have it. I think I should have an old CV, and before you can get current in Nigeria, you have to submit your CV. I have those ones, the job you're doing before, and I have all those. I think I should have a CV.
Okay.
But what you actually there is just, I know what you are saying. Now you have made me to understand that your CV must be flexible to.
You must, let it align to the role that you're applying for. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So that means you can't use one CV, Mr. Tony, to apply for 4 roles. That's a no-no. Because each job description is different, is unique, right? So some would require a certain skill. The next one might not require that particular skill. You get what I mean? So it is important to note that. So the next part I want us to look at is, and then we'll take a look at, a CV that I just came up with.
Excuse me, is it possible, in order to build up, is it possible to get something like a
template?
No, template. At the same time, My God, there's a name that is skipping me. Not
okay.
Not IT. There's a name for it. Why you work for them, they may not pay you.
Oh, okay. Is it like volunteering though?
Not
or
volunteering.
Is it internship?
God bless you.
Okay.
Something like, I'm just saying it, if there is anything like that, I will not mind, just help the organization just to fit into that. Exactly. Actually, the aim of this thing is for me to get a remote job.
To get a remote job.
Yeah, because if I put in a traditional method, with this help you are giving me, I know, I'm very sure of getting something. I know in the construction industry, I still have other certification from PMI that tailor me Anyhow, I thank you, Christian, and I know if only you help me with, I have to start something, start the CV. We have to tailor the CV. We have to now we make that CV like Agile.
Exactly. That's the one. Exactly. Yes. It's a living document. That's what I call it. You know, it's not something that is static. It's ever evolving. You know, and if I don't know if I got your question correctly, you're saying, if it's possible to get like an internship.
Or if I can say apply for internship.
Of course you can. Okay. Of course you can. Remember, right? I feel at the end of the day, what I get you say, or what I've heard you say, Mr. Anthony, is that you want a situation whereby at least you're able to get into that space. Yes. And then you want a hair, and then
according to, let me use your words, I want to match my foot at the gate.
Exactly. Yes. Of course it is. Of course, I mean, and people would more than be willing to, get an intern that they won't want to pay, right? But would bring lots of value. So yeah, that's a very good one. If you want to go through that route, that's a very good one. I remember my first job as a business analyst. I got a big pay cut, right? And my friends thought I was crazy. And I told them something. I said, all I need is to just get inside. I just need, so that, when people, I can update my CV and say, oh, I've worked here, right? That gives you leverage. So I totally understand what you're saying, and I endorse it because it's what I did and it worked for me, right? So, yeah. Okay. So we can proceed, yeah? Because next, yes. So I want to talk about, the next. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is ATS optimization. I don't know, have you heard about ATS before, Mr. Anthony?
No. Okay. Maybe if you mention it fully.
Yeah, so ATS is Applicant Tracking System. I don't know if you've heard people say, oh, is your CV ATS compliant? If your CV is not ATS compliant, you won't even get through. The recruiters will not even pick it to, to see it, to give you the chance. So ATS is just an applicant tracking system. So what most organizations do is when they push out job openings, right, and people apply, they get maybe, if I'm not exaggerating, thousands or hundreds of, applications. Now, it is humanly impossible for the HR or the recruiting body to sit down and look at these CVs one after the other. Mm-hmm. So they have a system whereby, as people are sending in their application, the system is looking, oh, does this person have this skill? They don't have this skill. Trash. It goes to trash, right? So the people whose CVs, meet up with all the requirements, according to what has been set by the organization, then it progresses and their CVs can be reviewed, right? So literally ATS stands for keywords, remember. So if you're applying for, okay, I'll go into details, but this the ATS will stand for, remember ATS is the Applicant Tracking System the organizations use to screen applications, right? So that they don't waste their time, so they reduce applications by maybe 50%. So if 500 people applies, ATS screens it, and 250 people are disqualified. The remaining 250 people, the recruiters can now look at their CVs and say, oh, are we going to invite this person, for an interview, or are we going to they know what to do from there. So it stands for keywords, it stands for job titles, it stands for certifications, right? It stands for skills and industry terminology. Now, if you're going to be applying for Agile project management, you're going to use Agile terms in your CV. Right? So you're not going to be using things like, what's one key? Give me one key waterfall term that we use in project management. Work package. Aha, something like work package is very, is very
the schedule update.
Exactly. You get. So all those ones are not, they're not, you're not giving me, they're not Agile terminologies. So ATS will stand for those. Now the ATS best practices that I would say from experience, and also from people that have been opportune to coach as well, is use keywords from the job description. And I talked about it.
Yeah.
So for example, if the job description says Agile, Scrum, stakeholder management, risk management, these exact terms should appear naturally in your CV. So for example, they say, oh, the position is for Agile project manager. In your CV, please be throwing Agile like confetti somewhere, right? Scrum, stakeholder, right? All those terms, because when the ATS is scanning those CVs, it's picking out those terms, and it's the ones that have the industry terminology that it will take. Now, these exact terms should appear naturally in the CV. Another thing, again, I want to quickly mention about CV is when you're doing your CV, please don't use tables. Right, you know how people will use tables. What tables are now in presentation.
Yes.
Tables. Don't use that. The major reason is when it goes through ATS, it becomes distorted. Right? So your first column can be here. The next column might be in a different space. Right? So it makes it so it makes it very difficult for ATS to pick that. So don't use tables, don't use graphics. Don't say I want to do the Gen Z 21st, 28th generation. You're using graphics. Don't use fancy designs, right? Your CV is not a place for you to experiment with graphics, fonts, and text. Remember, your CV should be as simple, clean as possible, right? So don't use tables, don't use graphics, don't use fancy designs. And footers that you would even use should contain very minimal information. They shouldn't be too much. So the standard headings for I drafted this based from my own CV. So the standard headings I used on my CV, you see the professional summary, you see my core competence, that's like skills, you see my experience, you see my education, you see my certifications, right? So at least your CV should have 5 of these sections when you're working on them. Remember, I would share these notes with you, right? So that can help you when you're going back to work on your CV. So I think another thing I want to mention here is before we look at a draft of a CV that I worked on together. So positioning for your PMP, PMI ACP, and PMI CP. So do not bury those certifications, right? So remember, I don't know, you have them on LinkedIn, right? You saw how my LinkedIn was, how I was plastering PMP everywhere.
Yes. I saw your...
Okay. Do you have, is that how did you do you have that on your LinkedIn as well? So when I come on your LinkedIn profile now, you don't have it? Okay. So I think we might need to do LinkedIn optimization.
Yes.
I don't know. See if you can hear me. I think
I can hear you very well.
I believe Anthony would really benefit from that. So we might need to do that for him, right? Okay. So moving on. So many candidates they bury their certifications.
Hold on. Hello, can I talk? LinkedIn,
yes, please, of course.
LinkedIn is like you put yourself in a show glass. Good. Now, if everything about my LinkedIn all tends to Agile, and naturally, if I have in the waterfall, how would people now look at my background in the waterfall? Is that I can present the two to be? I don't want to use the word hybrid. Is that where I can present the two?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and that's why I brought up LinkedIn optimization, right? Because you can. So, for example, now me, I'm a senior business analyst. I'm a project manager. But I'm also learning about business intelligence in terms of like data analytics, right? And it's there on my profile. I'm a mental health advocate. It's there on my profile. So for me, it depends on how you want people to perceive you on LinkedIn, right? And especially for you who wants to break into the Agile, project management, it's key that you also position yourself on LinkedIn like that. Right? So your summary, your about could be, I'm a project manager, with over 10 years of experience, being, very effective on the predictive or, the waterfall methodology. Now I'm transitioning into Agile. You get what I mean? So whoever comes in sees you as a resourceful person. Right? So on LinkedIn, you are not picking one and leaving another. You can display who you are, how you want people to see you. I don't know if that answered your question, Mr. Anthony.
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay. So what I was just saying, right? Your PMP, put it out there. Let people see it, right? If possible, again, I would strongly advise you can just look at my LinkedIn profile. Yes. See how I arranged it. Yes. See how I arranged. And let me know so we can, work something out. That won't be a hassle at all. So your professional summary, remember I said it's very key. So your professional summary could read something like certified project management professional and PMI. That's on your CV now, and PMI CP credential holder with experience supporting cross-functional projects, stakeholder, Agile delivery. You see how we are adding Agile small. Yes. So that is how you build. That is how you tell the recruiters that, you know what, yes, I'm a master in this field, but I also want to explore this field, right? So the certification should appear on your LinkedIn profile. I mean, that's what I just said, on your section, certificate section in your CV as well, right? Okay, so professional summary workshop, I think this will be the second to the last one. So I want to teach this framework. It's very easy. Whenever you're working on your CV, ask yourself, who am I? In terms of how many years of experience do I have? What are my key strengths? What industry have I been exposed to? What is the business impact I have? What certifications do I have to back this up, right? I always like this because when I draft out this and I work on my CV, it's very easy for me to relate to what, especially to the job that I'm applying for. So a good example would be using this formula. Remember, who are you? Years of experience. So you can say results-driven project manager with 10 years of experience, leading cross-functional initiatives, right? Across, what's your key strength? Technology and business operations environment. Now, What are the things that you're conversant in? Skilled in agile delivery, stakeholder engagement, risk management, project planning, and process improvement. Proven ability to deliver projects on time, improve operational efficiency, and align business objectives with execution strategies. Then what comes next? You put your certifications, the ones that you have. You can just list them out, right? So lastly, I want us to look at, sorry, you wanted to say something, Mr. Anthony?
No.
Okay, so I also want us to look at, this will just be for 5 minutes, quantifying achievements, right? Remember I said, that was the first thing I mentioned because it's so crucial. Do not sell yourself short when you're writing your job description in your CV or on your CV, right? So instead of saying facilitated project meetings, worked with stakeholders, you can list the action, the metric, the number, like what you actually did, and the result. So a good example would be, Anthony improved in my current work, I improved project delivery timelines by 25%, right? So you can see the action. The action was what? Improving project delivery timelines. What's the metric? How many percent? Was it 10%? Was it 5%? Anything that you cannot measure cannot grow. Right? And so when you just go on your CV and you write improve project delivery timelines and it helps the business, that's fluff. You're not giving me value. So, I want to know exactly how that improvement in that delivery, how did it work? How did it affect your organization? How did it affect the project? Did it bring about a growth, or did it even turn the project upside down? Right? So remember, you list the action you did. In this case, it was improving the project delivery timeline. What is the metrics? It grew by 25%, right? Through implementation of agile sprint planning and enhanced stakeholder communication process. So remember, action plus the metric plus the result. The action was to improve project delivery. The metric was it improved by 25%. And what was the result? Implementation of agile. The result was that in enhanced stakeholder communication processes. So metrics recruiters love. So if you're applying for agile projects, what's it called? Agile project management role, there are metrics that these recruiters love. For example, they want to see the process efficiency. They want to see if your stakeholders or your customers had great satisfaction. They want to see if there was productivity increase. Was there a risk reduction? Was there timeline reduction? They want to see team size. I'm always very vocal about my team size because during my career, I think not my recent job, the job before prior, I led a team of about 11 people, right? And these amazing guys were, in different parts of the world. I had some people in the US, I had some in Pakistan, I had some in India, I had some in UAE, right? So if a recruiter sees that, they know that you've actually worked with people of different cultural experiences, right? Remember that the industry right now the world is a global village, so people work remotely. Now, if you put that on your CV, what does that do for you? Doesn't it give you a leverage? Doesn't it tell you exactly, right? So talk about team size. Talk about, if the budget you manage. My very first job, I remember, it always sounds very funny, but my boss asked me to manage a project, and I think the total revenue, everything about that project was about 5 million naira. Right? And I was so proud of it. And every time on my CV, you would see that as a key achievement, because it is an achievement. That means, I grew that asset from 5 million to about 20 million before I left. You get what I mean? So metrics, recruiters love metrics. They don't just want to hear, because talk is cheap. I can come and tell you that, I was with Obama yesterday. But what happens when I now show you a picture of myself and Obama, or a video that is not AI generated? That gives me more leverage. So when you're working on your CV, look at it from the lens of the recruiter. This person doesn't just want you to say sweet things. They want to see metrics. They want to see how you reduce the risk. They want to see how you improved. By how many percent did you improve the process efficiency? right? By how many percent did your customer increase, right? And stuff like that. The quick CV exercise that I've said, you would, when this is a take home. Hopefully, next time you can work on your CV. Of course, I will share my notes here, and then.
So, okay,
you bring
the CEO will send all those things for the recording to me. I think so.
Yeah, so I can just yes. See, I don't know if CEO can you hear us, please? So my notes, I would just share that with you, right? And I think Mr. Tony can get it. So Mr. Tony, this is my first session. I really don't, but I'm sure they will get it across to you. I'll follow up on that so that you get it. Yeah. All right. So now, what are common mistakes that project managers make? Especially when it comes to CV. So the first mistake is they just list responsibilities instead of achievements, and that's what we've talked about. When we talked about the metrics, you said, I worked with stakeholders, I managed, meetings, I made sure that, everybody kept to the deadline. Listing responsibilities is different from achievement, right? It's always good that when you list those responsibilities, you now include the achievement that came, with it, right? Another mistake number 2, which is very common, is they use one CV for every application. So they use one CV for every application. They're applying for Agile project manager role in Deloitte. They use the same CV. The CV that they use in Deloitte, they use it in Shell. The CV that they use in Shell and Deloitte, they use it in Microsoft, right? You see, that's recipe for disaster, because remember, we've already established that each job description is or each job opening is unique, right? We don't have 2 job openings that are the same. They might have the same description, but they are actually very unique. The third mistake that project managers make is they do not quantify results. They just say, improved system by how many percent, right? How exactly? How do you quantify that? And then weak professional summary. Poor keyword optimization. Keywords that should be on their CV based off the job description, they omit that. And in fact, why this keyword thing is so important, because ATS will not feel sorry for a person. ATS is a machine. It will just scan and say, this CV does not have the keywords. Automatically, the person is out of the race even before it started, right? So mistake number 5 is they use poor keyword optimization. Mistake number 6 is they focus too much on certifications and they put too little focus on experience. I love certifications, but it actually took me about 5 years before I started writing. In fact, this year is my year of getting certified. So yes, so this year I got my PMP, I got my product owner. The next one I'm working on is to get my business analysis, that's the CBAB, right? You ask me, why did it take you 5 years, or more than 5 years before you get the certifications? And my answer is simple. Getting certifications, if you read, is not difficult, right? But there's also the place of getting the experience. Yes, and you see this. You see this in CVs, in the CVs of people, especially project managers and business analysts. They are very quick to, tell you that they have PMP, CBAP, which other one, Prince 2 or whatever. Right? But when it comes to actually doing the job and having the experience, they're zero. They don't know. Right? So on your CV, of course, list your certifications. However, do not focus too much on that. Right? Instead, where the sweet spot is those experience. What you've actually done, that's the sweet spot. That's what the recruiters are looking for, right? And then mistake number 7, generic skill section. So the normal skill section that people would have, Anthony, let's list them now. They'll say communication, interpersonal skill. Which one again is is everywhere? They will tell you attention to detail. Those are generic skills. Your skills should be what? Aligned to that particular job. You get what I mean? So if it's Agile project manager, what are the key skills for that? Put that they should come first before you even start putting other skills, right? So
Yeah, no problem.
right? Okay, perfect. Okay. So what your CV, because what I had in mind when I was creating this is, if I were to be applying for an agile project management role, how? Yeah.
I love what you did here.
You said, oh, you like it already, right? See how it makes sense. You see, perfect. So, of course, it should have your name, this here, right? And you can put your certifications in front, like the PMP and all.
Yeah.
Include your phone number, right? The email address as well, Then your LinkedIn URL. Remember, I told you LinkedIn URL is a non-negotiable. You can't be applying for any job now and you will not include LinkedIn URL, right? Because in fact, if you don't include it, they will ask you for it. So that's why it brings me back to us optimizing your LinkedIn again, right? And then this is not really important, but you can put it, so you can just be your location. If it's Lagos, if it's Houston, wherever you are, you put it there. Now, professional summary. What I just did, I said results driven project manager with X years of experience. Exactly. Sorry, I'm trying to take this out. Okay, leading project across. Right. You put the industry. Skilled in project planning, agile delivery, stakeholder management, risk management, budget control, process improvement. You can see that, right? Now, you might not necessarily have to repeat this, right? But if you want to, you can, because it is already here. You get. So I would say let's take this off, because we do not want. Remember, the idea is not to repeat things, right? The idea is to give them an overview of what you have, what you're bringing to the table. Now, your core competences. This, I also take this as my skill sector. So if you look at my CV, I don't just put skills. I feel like just putting skills is too generic. So I want to tell you, these are the things that I'm really, good at. Exactly. So you can see what came up. Project management, Abby, because that's my core skill. And then for you, because we're looking at agile, transitioning into agile, project management. You see what came next? Agile and Scrum. And then you can put your stakeholder management, you can put your risk management, your budget management, your project planning and scheduling, change management, cross-functional leadership, process improvement, resource management. You get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Don't manage. Remember that network is lagging, so that I can always just come back. So I said, right, to reiterate, I said when you're working on your core competence skills, right, always put the role you're applying for, the skills that are aligned to that role, let them come top, right? And then, exactly, because if you look at here, vendor management is more predictive. You agree with me, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So all those other ones,
contractors for their payment.
Thank you. So always just make sure you put the for the job you're applying for, the core competence or skills, then them come first, and then others can come next. So for your professional experience, you would have you list the company name, you put the company name here. So here, company name should be the name of the company, your title, which is the project manager, right? The month, year to the present. That's the duration that you were here. Now, this is now the experience part that was hammering about, right? What do you notice here? You see metrics, you see percentage, you see dollar sign, right?
Yes, yeah.
So that it is quantifiable. Now, we're not just going to say, oh, he led a project. So you led the project, resulting in what? So and so. You manage project budget of how much, you put it there. You coordinated cross-functional team of how many people, you put it there. You understand? In fact, if your cross-functional teams are scattered in different parts of the world. Like me, includes the countries there. You get what I mean, right? So the other part here, you can now come here and talk about key projects. So maybe in your 10 years or over 10 years of experience that you worked as a project manager, there were like 2 key projects you worked on that you really loved, right? You can just, quickly put them here as well. You get what I mean? Then of course you have your education, where you put the degree, the institution, the year you graduated.
If I have any.
Sorry?
I said if I have any.
Or if you have any, of course, if you have any, but I mean, it's not
I'm just joking.
settled. Okay. Then the tools, right? So for these tools, because you're just starting out, I would say, start with the basic ones. I don't know if you use Microsoft Project, but presently I use a lot of Jira because I'm an Agile project manager, right? So I use Jira, I use Confluence, I've used Visio,
Trello. But Jira is not difficult. Jira is just the electronic version of the normal Scrum thing. I understand.
Exactly, right? And then thank you. And then the professional affiliations, like, so those certifications that you got, they're under the Project Management Institute. You get what I mean? Exactly. So you put that there. So this was what I was telling you, that I would have loved to have your CV, your LinkedIn profile, but that's fine. So with that, Anthony, we've come to the end of this.
Can you send it to me directly? I should wait for them.
Let me send you. Okay? I don't know. See you. Please, because I can't.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I would need to. Yes, I need to follow. Yeah, so I will get it across to the CEO. Not a problem. Don't worry, you'll get it.
Okay.
And you'll get it. So you can start working on this. Do you have any questions, Mr. Anthony, before we?
You have done my work for me 80%.
I'm glad.
Mine now is to fill out, not filling, is to upscale those ideas you put here, to use them to generate what actually.
Yes.
So that we'll start from there.
Exactly my point. All right, thank you so much. I hope this has been very.
I appreciate it. I enjoyed this class.
I'm glad.